Viewer discretion advised. Spoiler warning for previous seasons of AHS. Hello everyone and welcome to my freak show. If you're new, I'm Mary Girl Moody, author, mother, wife, theorist, and AHS lover. You're the only thing I need! And if you're returning, welcome back to my freak show. I missed you all. Now today I present to you a theory that truly messed with my head so deeply, it requires 2 videos. Now, to prove this theory, I rewatched the entire season of AHS Apocalypse multiple times. And if that doesn't deserve a like, I don't know what else does. So press that like button to please YouTube and subscribe if you want. And this video is brought to you by me. Buy my books on Amazon or any bookstore near you. I have 6 published novels, so there's plenty, you know. I started this theory with the simple connection that both Addie and Michael were killed by a hit and run. Yet, as I looked for connections between the two, I fell into a huge rabbit hole of information, mirrors, and evidence. I was shocked to discover the answers I sought were right there in Murder House, Coven, and Apocalypse. Since the evidence I compiled on this theory is vast and wide, I decided to make this theory video into 2 parts. In this video, I will tell you my theory and prove Addie Langdon was the next Supreme. Part 2 will focus on Michael Langdon and exactly how he killed Addie. Now, once you've watched both videos, you can make your own decision about this theory. The first piece of my theory is that American Horror Story Murder House, Coven, and Apocalypse have 2 timelines. The first timeline is the OG, the original. The second timeline exists just above the original. However, the timelines are altered by the murder of Addie Langdon. The Murder House, Coven, and Apocalypse that we watched on television existed in the second timeline. Now, my theory takes place in the OG timeline of Murder House. Now, moving on to the next piece of my theory. It is that Addie never died on Halloween night by a hit and run. Thus, she continued to live with Constance. She's alive in 2012 when Michael is born and assists Constance with raising him. However, Addie quickly becomes disturbed when she has a vision of Michael's future and the apocalypse. This prompts Addie to leave home for Miss Robichaux's academy. And there she develops her powers, becomes the next Supreme, and has the help of the entire Coven when she meets Michael again in 2017. After nearly banishing his soul, Michael goes back in time to 2011 to kill Addie, creating the second timeline where Addie dies on Halloween night, never having the chance to meet Michael. And as a bonus, I strongly feel that Mallory saw what happened to Addie in the OG Murder House timeline and killed Michael in a hit and run as a form of poetic justice. Okay guys, I know this is a crazy theory, but let's face it, it's not the first on my channel. Again, this video discusses Addie and the proof she was the next Supreme after Fiona. And I know most of you right now are rolling your eyes. I know, I think every chick on these theory videos is a witch, but you know, I can't help that Ryan and Brad love them witches. The blame is on them, okay? Not me. Allow me a bit of your time to prove Constance and Addie were witches, and Addie was the next Supreme. Constance Langdon was a witch. In my theory video, Constance Langdon is a witch, I presented proof such as Constance was there to stop Ben from burning himself on the stove. She knew Vivian was pregnant just by her so-called smell. She made the cupcakes with Ipecac that disabled some of the potential killers in the Halloween episode. She predicted Ben will build a gazebo in the backyard, sipping iced tea with Vivian way before Hayden is killed. Constance also knew exactly when Violet Googled Tate and was there with Billie Dean Howard to suddenly explain it all to her. For a reason that I definitely speculated on, Constance searched the internet for a reputable psychic. Why? The ghosts freely showed themselves all the time, and Constance looked for Billie before Tate died. So I definitely theorized the reason that Constance searched for a psychic was to understand her own powers. In the video, I delivered plenty of evidence indicating Constance is a witch, and I still stand firm on it. Addie told the boys in the pilot episode of Murder House they're going to die inside the house. I understand little Addie might have been aware of the history of the murder house, but not at such a young age. To me, her warning appears to be a sign of divination. In Murder House, Constance was not able to see the future of her children. In Coven, Fiona was not able to see the future of Cordelia. Now, Myrtle gave us some kind of answer when she replied to Cordelia. I guess it's different when it's your own family. So this means witches can't see their family when it comes to some powers, like divination. And Constance and Fiona shared this affliction. This one might be reaching for some of you, but don't forget, guys, I'm double jointed in my legs. In episode 2 of Murder House, Addie tries to tell Constance that Violet and Vivian are in trouble next door. Rather than listening to her, Constance tossed Addie into a closet of mirrors. Literally, mirrors covered the entire walls of this tiny little closet. And some of my viewers pointed out to me that the mirrors were likely witch mirrors. Now, please allow me to briefly inform you about witch mirrors before I tell you how it applies to the theory. Witch mirrors were popular in the early 20th century with witches. Divination with a mirror or some kind of reflective surface is an ancient practice called scrying. Basically, a witch's mirror on the wall will actually show her who is the fairest of them all. Energy working, spells, and even portals to other dimensions are possible from these mirrors. Modern witches use black glass with a passable reflection, but polished mirrored surfaces are traditional. And as long as the mirror is flat, or, flat enough to cut up your cocaine, you got yourself a witch mirror. I scoured the internet for actual witch mirrors and found some that were quite similar to the ones in Addie's bad closet. These witch mirrors right here are round with solid round frames, just like these right here in Addie's bad closet. This one is more intricate and crafted in an hourglass shape. And I have discovered that these mirrors will come in all shapes and sizes, but mostly they're round, sometimes square shaped. But I could not find a witch mirror to match this one right here in the closet. Otherwise, the closet is full of what appears to be witch mirrors. Now, why did Constance lock Addie in this closet full of witch mirrors? One could argue that the closet was simply a place for Addie to be locked inside, forced to see her own hated reflection everywhere. But if that were the case, one would assume that Addie would have destroyed those mirrors. She would have, busted some of them, but she didn't. I mean, I was even guilty at first of thinking that her screams were from seeing her own reflection that, she didn't like to see. But as I rewatched the section over and over, I realized Addie screams as if she's afraid of the mirrors. And after extensive research, I realized these mirrors are suggested portals which allow ghosts and spirits to pass into the realm of the living. I mean, and come on, you got these into the murder house. I mean, that's really freaky deaky right there. The longer that you leave the mirror in one place, the stronger the portal becomes. And if you break one of the witch mirrors, the spirit inside will be released. And ironically, guys, there is one broken mirror in the closet way above Addie's reach right there. And the other mirrors do appear as if they'd been on the wall for quite some time. Now, to sum up the evidence in this section, I say Constance is a witch who uses the mirrors and closet as a form of supernatural punishment for Addie. I theorize Addie's screams were from fear of what might exit out of the mirror or pull her into the mirror because it's happened to her before. Or she's trying to induce desensum on an unwitting Addie. But that took me way farther down the rabbit hole than I wanted to go. So I'm simply going to leave this piece of evidence out there for you to judge.
Why are you in my house?
Addie and Constance entered the murder house even when the doors and windows were locked. Multiple times, Addie suddenly appeared in the murder house without giving an explanation of how she got inside. Same with Constance. And I theorize the answer is they possess the power of transmutation. So it was easy for both of them to get in and out of a locked house without being seen. According to Coven, a witch's powers mature by 25 years of age. In 2001, Addie was 39 years of age. Perhaps we would have seen more of her powers if her character had more screen time. But I definitely speculate raising the Antichrist for less than a year forced all of Addie's powers into the open. In the season finale of Murder House, Constance tells her hairstylist Michael came to her after her cousins, the DeLongpre, Evelyn and Steve, from Virginia, died in a car accident. Remember, Mimi DeLongpre was a former Supreme of the Coven. Her reign began in the 19th century and ended in 1940 when she supposedly died from old age. It is not known if Mimi had siblings, but knowing Ryan and Brad's love of connecting the seasons, it's more likely that Constance and her children are the descendants of a former Supreme.
Behold, the one true Supreme.
In Coven, Fiona's powers as the Supreme began the decline in 2012, which meant a new Supreme of the Coven was on the rise. The show made it clear to us, the viewers, Cordelia was not a candidate for Supreme. We were led to believe it was Madison Montgomery. Even Fiona believed it because she shanked Madison so she could retain her title and powers as the Supreme. Now in 2014, the students at the Academy failed the 7 Wonders, where Cordelia passed and rose as the new Supreme. If the show made it clear Cordelia and Madison were not the next Supreme, then who was? And why did Cordelia have mediocre powers and all of a sudden pass the 7 Wonders? So my theory here is Addie was the next Supreme. According to my theory in the OG timeline of Murder House, Addie would have been at the Academy around 2013 when Fiona was losing her powers. She was the reason Fiona was fading and would have passed the 7 Wonders, making her the next Supreme. When Michael went back in time and killed Addie, Cordelia was next in line, so to speak, and replaced Addie as the Supreme, basically following in the footsteps of the Supreme murdered before her. According to my evidence, there is more than enough to prove Addie was a witch and to make you doubt who was meant to be the next Supreme. However, my own divination has foreseen that I must answer some basic questions for my viewers to better explain this theory. Number 1, Addie never demonstrated all the 7 Wonders. What makes me think that she was possibly the next Supreme? My answer is that Addie is a descendant of a former Supreme and her mother is a witch. People with witch mirrors don't have a closet full of them for decorative purposes. They are mostly popular with witches. Addie demonstrated 2 of the 7 Wonders, which were transmutation and divination and possibly descensium. But without a backstory or more screen time for Addie, I can't positively conclude that she possessed all of the 7 Wonders. However, after reviewing the evidence and the timeline, I honestly feel it's likely that Addie was the next Supreme after Fiona. Number 2, if Michael went back in time to kill Addie, why didn't he go back in time to kill the other Supremes like Cordelia and Mallory? I'd say, guys, that he didn't know that they existed. Remember, my theory exists in the original timeline. Michael would only know of one Supreme, Addie. And I doubt he would have known that killing Addie meant another Supreme would rise and lead the Coven. And by the time that Michael realized Cordelia was the new Supreme, the Coven murdered him. Number 3. According to Murder House, Addie is a stranger to Michael. Why would he want to kill a stranger? Guys, technically, Michael and Addie Langdon have never met. However, they are related. Constance gave birth to Tate, Addie, Bo, and her oldest son was an unnamed albino, until of course the show switched it to Rose, who was her blind young daughter, in season 8. Now, all these children were sired by Constance's husband, Hugo Langdon. Michael Langdon was born to Tate Langdon and Vivian Harmon, thus making Addie his aunt by birth. So I understand, though, technically Satan used Tate's ghost as a vessel to create the Antichrist, making Michael the son of Vivian and Satan. But regardless, Michael is a Langdon, and so was his Aunt Addie. Number 4. If Addie was a Supreme, why was she killed so easily by a car? Now, guys, I must ask you, why was the Antichrist killed by Mallory with a car? Do cars hold some kind of special significance to erase supernatural beings from this realm? I highly doubt it, though. Supremes and Antichrists can become injured. They can grow old, they can stab themselves, and they can die just like everyone else. They are not immune to danger, death, or even hit and runs. Number 5. Why didn't Addie kill Michael immediately when she realized he was the Antichrist? Now, I ask you, could Addie have killed a baby, even if it was the Antichrist? Much like Cordelia, Addie would have been completely shocked and felt powerless against such extreme evil. She would have needed a safe place to go and had a plan to stop the apocalypse. And I bet it was Billie Dean Howard who saw Addie's vision, informed her she was a witch, and pointed her to the direction of Fiona Good at Miss Robichaux's academy. That would have placed Addie at the academy in either late 2012 or early 2013. And I mean, it would be really neat if a Supreme was in decline during that time, permitting Addie to rise. Oh, wait, there was a Supreme in decline, Miss Fiona. Now, very quickly, please allow me to review a comprehensive timeline for the OG season of Murder House so it can kind of make more sense to you of what I think happened. 1972, Addie Langdon is born. 2011, the Harmons move into the Murder House. 2012, in March, Michael Langdon is born. 2012, October, Addie has a vision of Michael and the apocalypse. She tries to tell Constance, but Constance refused to believe anything negative about her little angel. Remember her telling her hairdresser that this is her chance for redemption. And I sincerely doubt that when Addie goes to tell Constance that little Michael is anything but good, that Constance will refuse to believe it, because this is her second chance, and nothing will stop her second chance. November, Billie informs Addie she's a witch, it's in her bloodline. She encourages Addie to apply to a little-known school for witches. 2013, January, Addie moves into Miss Robichaux's academy, and Fiona is officially in decline. 2014, Addie passes the 7 wonders and becomes the new Supreme. 2015, spring, Michael Langdon starts a killing. October, Constance comes to understand Addie was right about Michael. She abandons Michael to join Addie and the Coven in New Orleans. 2017, June, Michael joins the Hawthorne School for Exceptional Young Men. July, Michael's powers are tested and ranks to the level of Supreme. The men call the female coven to their school. August, Addie and her coven travel to the Hawthorne School and come face to face with Michael Langdon. At first, Addie makes nice when she sees the male coven and her nephew. Addie and her coven had 3 years to prepare for this moment, so they're ready. And when the men declare Michael as their supreme, Addie reveals Michael's true identity and he will bring forth the apocalypse. This prompts a huge magical battle between Addie and Michael and the female coven against the male coven. So except for their male egos though, no one is seriously injured, but Addie puts the smackdown on Michael and the male coven. She incinerates Miss Mead, the Wizard Council, and believes that she's basically banished Michael back to hell. But Michael's spirit isn't gone. In fact, it's alive and it's pissed. To gather more strength and to take out his anger, Michael murders all the remaining male students at the school, joins the Church of Satan, and embraces his new role as Antichrist. October 30th. Knowing Addie is too powerful, Michael goes back in time to kill her. In the present, Addie's physical body dissipates and leaves the realm. The sudden, unexpected loss of their supreme leaves the coven in shambles. November. With Addie out of the way and the coven in shambles, Michael goes forth with the apocalypse. 2018, January. Michael creates the cooperative and uses Harry and Lloyd as his techies. And back at the coven, Cordelia rose as the new supreme after Addie's sudden death. Summer. The new supreme Cordelia, along with her coven, murder Michael via Axeman Richard Ramirez style. Their powers, along with their physical strength, ultimately kill Michael's body and banish his spirit back to hell. 2020, April. Just another spring day. No apocalypse, but the Antichrist has been reborn. So in my timeline, Constance never dies. She lives in New Orleans near the coven. She is not part of the coven, but she wants to be by her Addie. Constance might not have been the best of mother, but she did love her children and she loved Addie. I strongly believe Addie forgave her mother for the past and used her powers as supreme to give Constance maybe her own show or something, finally fulfilling her mother's dream of becoming a star. And I strongly feel this is the OG timeline to Murder House, Coven, and the Apocalypse. And that the seasons that we watched on FX took place in the alternative timeline where Addie died and never had the chance to rise as supreme. But just as the current supreme dies, another rises. The same happens with the Antichrist, and he will be reborn. So what do you guys think of my theory so far? Is there something you think I missed or left out? Do you think Addie is a supreme? Do you think I'm full of shit? Let me know in the comments. Part 2 will be out very soon, so subscribe and press the bell notification to be notified when I post new videos, or just come back to my channel to see if I've posted a new video, no pressure. I will be reviewing season 2 of American Horror Stories as soon as they are posted, so please subscribe if you would like to watch those reviews. Thank you all dearly for watching my newest theory video, and beware of the OG Supreme, Sexy Scathach. Scathach.
I've already proven to you that I can defy death.
No, true darkness requires a certain depth of character, but you're much too shallow for any kind of meaningful negativity.